Come on down, everyone. Grab a seat. We'll get started. It's 8 o'clock. We do want to get you all out of here by 9 on time. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming. My name is Mark Williams. Very fortunate to be the Managing Director here at Imagine Accounting. So welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming along, making the effort to be here. Looking forward to today. I think it will be very valuable, hopefully for you all. And there's sort of two pieces to it, if you like. The first piece is around Single Touch Payroll, which is a new regime, if you like, coming in, or is already effective actually, but largely affecting most small businesses from the 1st of July. So Shamir Gupta, one of our senior client managers, will be digging into that for the first part of today, this morning. And then we've got Tim and Sam from Xero, who will be digging into Xero and looking at how we can master Xero, and then looking at some of the ecosystem as well that sits around Xero as a platform. So without any further ado, one of the two, I'll pass you over to Shamir.
Thanks, Mark. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming to our seminar this morning. My name is Shamir, as Mark mentioned. I'm a senior client advisor here at Imagine Accounting, and I'll be giving you a very high-level overview of Single Touch Payroll. As you're all aware, Single Touch Payroll is quite a significant change for small businesses. You must have read it in articles or you've seen media reports on this. So considering the significance, we decided to do a seminar for this. Before I go into how Single Touch Payroll works, I'd like to start with what is Single Touch Payroll. Right. Single Touch Payroll is basically a reporting obligation for employers. So basically what happens is you lodge you do your pay runs as normal on a weekly, quarterly, fortnightly basis, and then what happens is once you finalize a pay run, there'll be a small button at the bottom of your accounting software which you just press, and all the information will go to the tax office. So the information that will go will be gross wages, PAYG withholding, and super information. All of this needs to be done on or before the payday. Now that's very crucial because legally all employers under STP have to lodge that information on or before the payday. If by any chance, once you implement Single Touch Payroll and you're not able to do so, the ATO won't penalize you for one or two mistakes, but if you do it quite frequently, they might issue warning letters, and within 12 to 14 months time, they'll start issuing penalties and stuff. The other side of Single Touch Payroll is the lodgement of TFN declarations and super choice forms, which were through MyGov. So what's been happening traditionally is when you hire a new employee, they fill out a TFN declaration form and a super choice form, which you keep on file. But with Single Touch Payroll, what will happen is all employees will now have to have a MyGov account. And with that, in that MyGov account, the ATO will have online forms which will have TFN declarations and super choice forms. Now, at this stage, you still have the choice of doing paper forms, but how long that's going to stay, we don't know. The other thing with Single Touch Payroll is, payment summaries and PAYG certificates will be phased out. So going forward, all employees will now get their annual PAYG statements through MyGov. So the employers will no longer have the obligation to provide annual payment summaries to employees. So MyGov will play a very crucial part for the employees themselves. Termination, cessation of employment information will also be transmitted with the STP software, so there's no need to lodge complex forms or anything. It'll just be transmitted electronically via your payroll system. And the other thing is the pre-filling of W1 and W2 on the VAS. So previously what would have happened is once you do a pay run, you would have to report gross wages in W1, and PAYG withholding in W-2. And that gets lodged with the tax office. But now with Single Touch Payroll, what will happen is as soon as you transmit all this information to the tax office, they'll have that information and they'll pre-fill the activity statements for you, W1 and W2. But having said that, there was a report that was issued by the ATO a couple of weeks ago saying that they'll implement this in January 2020. So from 1st of July 2019 to Jan 2020, you'll still have to manually fill the forms, W1 and W2, but going forward, they'll be pre-filled in your activity statements. Now, Single Touch Payroll is basically, the ATO is implemented because of the whole data sharing program. So once the ATO will receive all this Single Touch Payroll information, they'll share this info with other government agencies like Centrelink, the Child Support Register, and the Department of Home Affairs, just to make sure if all the information ties up. For instance, if you've got an employee who's receiving Centrelink benefits and not reporting their salary and wages correctly, with Single Touch Payroll, the ATO will actually inform Centrelink, and then Centrelink will do their data matching on their end, and then they'll find out that the employee's not doing the right thing and ask the employee to pay back, that sort of thing. With the Department of Home Affairs, if you've got an employee on your payroll register that doesn't have work rights, but is still on your payroll, has a TFN and everything, the tax office will send the information to the Department of Home Affairs, and then they'll penalize that employee because he doesn't have work rights or he does have work rights. So there's a lot of data sharing that'll be involved in Single Touch Payroll. Now, how does Single Touch Payroll works? It's quite simple. Basically, what happens is, as long as you've got an STP compliant STP compliant accounting package, maybe Xero or MYOB, what you could do is you just do your pay run as normal. You process it weekly, quarterly, fortnightly, and at the end of it, you get a small button at the bottom where you say file, and the information gets transferred to the tax office. Like I mentioned before, the type of information gets transferred is salary and wages, PAYG withholding, and super information. Now, particularly with super, what's really good about Single Touch Payroll is once the superannuation information goes to the tax office also gets information from the super funds, and they can marry the two information together and see whether employers are actually paying the super for the employees or not. So that increases transparency and makes the employers accountable that they pay the super on time. Not only that, through MyGov, the employees themselves can actually see whether a super payment has been made on their behalf or not. So it increases a lot of transparency. Now, what gets reported in Single Touch Payroll? There are basically three things. They're the mandatory reporting labels, the voluntary reporting labels, and the information that cannot be reported. Now, the mandatory labels are the labels that you would basically report in your W1 and W2 in the activity statements. So whatever you've been reporting in those activity statements, that gets transferred to the tax office, and that's a mandatory reporting label. Voluntary reporting labels, as the name suggests, are voluntary. I mean, you don't have to, but you can report those information to the tax office. They basically consist of if you're paying contractors and you issue payment summaries for them, that's when you put them in. It's completely voluntary. And finally, there is some information that cannot be reported because of limitations in the software. Basically, those are the info. That information is that kind of information which you don't usually put in a payroll, like child support payments or anything. But if there's anything out of ordinary, unfortunately, you will have to prepare payment summaries and lodge annual payment PAYG withholding reports with the tax office. So, so the ATO's got a pretty good on their website. They're given a list of all these items that you can go and have a look at, which is mandatory reporting, what's voluntary, and what cannot be reported. Now, this is a really good table that actually tells you the number of what's your STP start date based on the number of employees you have. So how many people in the room have 20 or more employees? So, and how many have less than 20? Cool. That's a good thing. Okay. So, because if you got more than 20 employees, you should already have been on Single Touch Payroll. But if we go to the next section, if you've got 5 to 19 employees, Single Touch Payroll comes to play on the 1st of July 2019. That's when everybody with 5 to 19 employees must be on Single Touch Payroll. Now, having said that, the ATO have given a 3-month leeway up till the 30th of September. Everybody needs to be on Single Touch Payroll, but for some reason, if it doesn't work, you've still got up till the 30th of September 2019 to fix things up. Now, with employers that have 1 to 4 employees, basically the ATO termed them as micro-employers, you've got a couple of options available to you. Number one is you can sign up to a STP compliant, full STP compliant accounting package, or you can keep your existing accounting package but sign up to an STP software, which is a low-cost STP solution, which is offered by MyOb and Xero, which is about $10 a month. The third option is you can actually send the information to a third party, a registered tax agent or a BAS agent such as ourselves, and we'll lodge it for you through an STP compliant software. And finally, now employees with closely held payees. Now, closely held payees, according to the ATO, are those people who are directors for companies, family members of businesses, owners, and beneficiaries for trusts. So beneficiaries of trusts, so if you have that sort of employees in your payroll, you've got some exemptions till 2020 that you can explore. Now, we've discussed this through in the previous slides as well about the various options you can get onto Single Touch Payroll. The first one is whether you can sign up to an accounting package. The second one is whether you want to sign up to a low-cost, low-cost STP solution. Third is asking a third party, such as an accounting firm or to business or tax agent. And the fourth option is for micro users, which covers the first three above. Now, finally, this slide basically says that even though we've got Single Touch Payroll, what are the basic general compliance obligations that still exist? The first one is all staff need to be provided fair work information. All new staff, whenever you hire a new staff member, you need to provide a fair work information statement and a super choice form that still stays. The second thing is all employees, when they get paid, need to be provided pay slips within 24 hours. The pay slip should have all the relevant data. The superannuation is still 9.5%. When you pay the superannuation for your employees, you must use a SuperStream gateway, which is basically a super clearinghouse. And finally, you need to have a look at all your employees and make sure that they have proper work rights to work in Australia. So to finalize this section, what I would like to say is, number one, if you can voluntarily set up Single Touch Payroll before the 1st of July 2019. This will give you time to fix problems and everything, so that once you're on 1st of July, everything's running smoothly. The second thing is you probably need to have a chat with all your employees just to let them know that the payment summaries, the annual payment summaries, will now be through MyGov, and if there's any other forms, they'll be available through MyGov as well. And basically, the third thing is to go through all your payroll data and make sure that all the information for employees is complete, like the TFN information is there, the super information is correct, the addresses are correct, so that once you transmit all the data, you don't have any issues with Single Touch Payroll. All right, that's all for me. I'll hand you over to Tim and Sam. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Is anyone's first time? Is anyone this the first time in the Xero event before? Yeah? First time? Wonderful. And for those who have seen me before, I just want to introduce my last name. So my last name is spelled as P-H-I-N-G. That's right. It's a real thing. So for my section, it's going to be short and sweet. Shamir has explained what and how, and also we're going to go into the practical. I'm going to show you a live demo. And the live demo is about our system and how STP works in our system. So there's many on the market, but in a very short period of time, I'm going to show you how easy it is. And for those who are already using our system, it's just like what Shamir said, a button. There's no significant changes whatsoever. So thank you so much, team. And to kick things off, once you are in our solution, our accounting solution, by the way, it's an event-based reporting, and you need to have a cloud solution in order to send information to the ATO. So for those who are on spreadsheets or pen and paper, it's actually a good time to start taking a software. 3 things that I'll share with you. The first one is the end-to-end STP demo, and then the second one is what if there's an error, how are you going to rectify it, and finally is year-end STP finalization. Anyone, for those who are familiar with this screen, this is a payroll screen, and you have a banner pop up. You can snooze it till the 1st of July, or just get started by simply clicking that button. And let's get into it now. Asking you to opt in. Now I'm gonna explain a bit here. 3 steps, that's all you need for Imagine Accounting. For those who are doing payroll yourself, small business owners, you only require 2 steps. So you will ignore step 2. So it's that simple. The first step is obviously your organization details. There's some homework for you to do today. Make sure your ABN and everything is correct. Otherwise, you can update them by clicking the button here. The next thing for Imagine Accounting or bookkeepers who do payrolls on your behalf is to fill in their details, their agent details. Pretty simple, straightforward, numbers. And finally is to pick up the phone, call the ATO, tell them that you're using a cloud solution, and provide them the details provided here. So I've helped a lot with this, and that number is probably the most efficient department you've ever come across. On average, it's 4 minutes and 30 seconds. That's all you need. And they really know what they're doing. Once you're finished with that, provide the software ID, and I'm connected. That's it. That's how you set up STP. Very simple. Less than 5 minutes. Now let's do one pay run. Add pay run. A couple of employees I need to pay. Happy with that. And if you have allowance, it will prompt you and say, hey, you can put it allowance on the fly, or you can do it in the payroll settings. So I'm going to quickly fill those in. See, that's just that one thing, that one extra thing right here. Click File, Authorize, and that's how you file your pay run to the ATO, and it will turn from processing to file. That's the first thing I'd like to share with you, how you set up STP and how it looks like when you do a pay run. Questions? Yes?
Does it post the pay run as well? At the same time you press file?
Yes, so that means your pay run's completed, and you download the ABA file and you pay from your internet banking.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the payroll's already been completed.
The payroll's very
So you've processed your payroll.
Yeah.
And you've uploaded your ABA file, and then you're literally, the next step is just to click File.
Mm.
So you've gone through the pay run.
Yeah.
So this is not showing how to
So you
process
don't
the
have to
pay
do
run.
post pay run and then file, or is it when you press file, it posts the pay run at the same time?
Yeah, so I'll show you one more time. So what happens here is, I maybe done it a bit quickly here. So this is what you would normally do,
Yeah.
post pay run.
Yeah.
So once you've done the post pay run, it will.
So you have to do it twice, okay. Yeah.
Then you have to
post
file.
And then file, okay.
Yeah, because sometimes you may have different people doing different things. So there's a different
Depending on the permissions.
Correct. So you do file, and this is where.
To the ATO before paying?
Say that again.
Can you do it the other way around? Can you file it to the ATO?
Yes,
Before
that's what we're doing now. So I'm filing to the ATO now.
Before you pay?
I
Before
haven't
it's paid, yeah.
Yeah, before I haven't paid yet.
As opposed to-
So you don't have to do it. This is a fast demo, so you can sit for a couple of hours, do the pay, and only file, or you can file it now, like what we did, and you can pay in the afternoon. That's a question.
So I was just being cheeky. It's like 3 clicks, not 1 click.
Oh. Feedback taken. So before I move on to the second bit, open for the questions. No? It's easy, isn't it? All right, let's move on. Sometimes error happens, you get notification. STP filing not successful, please check. Payroll, you go to Single Touch Payroll, and it's declined. So what's the reason here? Let's have a look. Timestamp and what's the reason of? Looks like the postcode is not correct for this particular employee. Jump straight into the employee section. It's based in Brisbane, so I'm going to change it to 4. Hit save. Go back to STP. I've changed it, successfully resubmit. Same thing, authorization. And that's how you resubmit that STP. That's the second thing I'd like to share with you. I can't expand any further, it's just because it's really that straightforward. Question?
What if there's an error in the pay run and you need to redo the pay run?
Good question. So the question here is like, all right, so I've put in the wrong number, I should pay more, and I've already posted. That's okay, you just revert the pay run, you can, and then make the changes and file it again. Or you can create an unscheduled pay runs. It is down the track, 2 months later you realize, oh, in January I should be paying this employee X amount instead of what is there. You can create an unscheduled pay run, make the amendments, and file it as well. So that's flexibility there. So that's 2 ways. Those are all the filed pay runs. Okay. And I think there's one question earlier said, okay, so I'm using this system now. I've been using it since July last year, and I opt in STP today. What happened to the previous parent? You have to go in and click file. Like if it's weekly, I have to click it like 30 times. No, you don't have to. So yes, ATO is smart enough. If you do opt in STP today, you do your first STP filing today, you will roll over everything. All right, so it's something they thought about, and it's easier for everyone. You don't have to go backwards. Just something you just have to look forward. That's the second thing. And finally, so fast forward to 30th of June or 1st of July this year, time to, you no longer need to send the payment summary to your employee. Everything is digitally sent to the tax office. So we need to finalize it. By doing that, this is what it looks like under payroll, that's STP. Select all of them, and some of them, if it's terminated earlier, just expand that. You can drill into it and check, but look, you've been doing every pay run, so it's actually quite accurate to the point. This is just formalities here. So finalize and hit submit to the ATO. So that's the third thing I'd like to share, which is STP finalization. Once you push that button, those employees will receive notification with their MyGov and saying, hey, it's ready to go, do your own individual tax return. It's final. So that is the third and final thing I'd like to share. Quick, easy, simple. Yes, question?
When you press the button saying that you want to start STP now, and you want to use Xero, does it mean that we start paying more for Xero?
All right, so it doesn't cost any more, so it's all included in the subscription plan. So unlike any other software providers where they actually do charge for turning on STP. So STP is a compliance bit, so we've absorbed that, so there's no additional charges.
Unless you're a micro business and you're signing up for a STP only solution. So all our premium solutions, if you're currently running your business on Xero, you're probably on a premium edition of Xero, which means STP is free of charge, or part of it, inclusive of the package. if you've got a subsidiary and it's a micro business or quite a small business, or you have a friend that's starting a small business and you're saying to them, oh, it's free, for a micro business where it's just paying up to four employees with payroll only, it's a $10 solution.
So the next step, your next step is actually for those who are already on our system, start checking your organization details, your employee details, postcode and all that, making sure everything is accurate. And to the point where you decided to switch on STP, everything will be smooth sail there. For those who are not on any cloud solution, start looking for one, or speak with Imagine Accounting. They will recommend the best software that is suited to your business. And spreadsheets, pen and paper, something you need to look for, start thinking about. It's actually good timing now. You have quite a couple of months, a few weeks to think about. So those are the two steps, two next steps. Okay? We're still here after the event. Any open floor to questions later, happy to answer any queries. And that ends my session. I would like to hand it to my colleague team. All right.
Thank you, Sam. All right. Let's see this is up and running. Okay. I'm not sure if I've seen a few familiar faces around the room. Sam and I spoke last time. My name's Tim, for anyone who hasn't met me yet. My responsibility and job is to look after about 150 or 200 accounting firms across New South Wales, or the northwest area or region of New South Wales. That being said, our role is to work with accountants and to help them understand how to progress their clients further through technology. So this is sort of something that we don't do as often, but for our favourites we do. So that being said, we recently ran a refresh event, we call it, our roadshow, which goes all around Australia. I think we have about 30 locations, something around 30 locations all around Australia. And we have about 10,000 people that attend this roadshow. That's 10,000 accountants, by the way, so you can imagine how much fun we have. But no jokes, actually, we have a lot of fun. But I just wanted to point out that we actually put a booklet together for this event. It's called our Partner Pages. And in this booklet that goes out to 10,000 accountants, and we also take it on the road with us and hand it out to accountants during the year that couldn't make it to the event. There's 12 accounting firms or people that get selected for this book every year out of the tens of thousands of accountants that are part of Xero. And this handsome gentleman is right close to the front of the page. So if you wanted to have a quick squiz at this, I highly recommend it. He's got some great advice in there for accountants. So out of the tens of thousands of accountants, you chose a good one. So just wanted to point that out to start with. Thank you, I'll collect my check later. All right, no, seriously, he's on top of it, and this team is really phenomenal. So, and we always love coming out here and working with them on events like this. So, as I said, my job is to bring accountants or help accountants to work more closely with their clients when it comes to technology, particularly around cloud technology, and obviously Xero is my focus. I do strongly believe that Xero is the best solution in the market. I have a background in engineering and accounting. Both Sam and I have come out of accounting ourselves, and we've used collectively probably about 15 or 20 different software when we were in accounting. Therefore, if I could remove the bias, I would still be looking towards Xero as the best solution in market. So what I'm going to look at, take you through today, I'm going to try and cover quite a lot of content in the next 15 or 20 minutes. One thing I'm going to look at is reporting. So just taking a look at budgeting in particular, the importance of financial literacy, and the role that plays in communicating with your accountant and other stakeholders. So I guess the beauty of working with so many accountants across all of New South Wales is that we can see the good and the bad, and we can see the issues that happen between a lot of accountants and their clients. And the foundation of a lot of those complications comes down to being able to communicate. And sometimes accountants being the numbers people and you being passionate about what you do, there is a disconnect between understanding the numbers and understanding your business. So what we're trying to do is, and what Imagine Accounting are trying to do as well, is to ensure that everyone has a full understanding of what systems they're using, how they interact with their business, and how they can improve their business and get them more involved at a deeper level with their business. So that when the conversations are had, they're very fruitful, powerful, meaningful conversations that you can have, rather than have you paid this, is this owing, those kind of things. How can we actually have forward-thinking conversations rather than backward-thinking, compliance-based conversations? I'm also going to touch on a few of the apps in the industry and talk about how applications can actually improve your business. There are 3 metrics that I like to always talk around when it comes to thinking about applications. So if you're not sure, if you're not using Xero, essentially Xero is a cloud-based accounting software that really focuses on doing the core accounting functions well. So we are Australia's largest payroll provider. We also have a tax compliance tool that is probably one of the strongest in the market. And we are one of the, I say we are the predominant small business accounting software. But that being said, there are always boutique needs of businesses. For instance, if you're in manufacturing and you've got a high level of inventory, I wouldn't necessarily suggest Xero for inventory management if you're in that scenario. But where we do have a strength is that we have over 700 applications that integrate with our solution. Because we are cloud-based, we can have an open API. What that means is we can communicate with other software as long as they're cloud-based technologies. And we can actually have a 2-way integration. That's one of the really important points I'll touch on. But what this means is you can grow from a core accounting software into something that can service mid to large enterprise. When I was in accounting, one of my responsibilities was taking large fund managers who were paying X amount of dollars for systems like Oracle and the like. Obviously, you can imagine it would be hundreds of thousands of dollars over a year for systems such as that, and converting them to Xero with a handful of add-ons. The beauty of that was not only was it more cost effective, but the transparency really shone through, and the communication between us as the accountant and our client was the winner at the end of the day. Because if you can imagine being on Oracle, a lot of the small businesses are in the room here today. I doubt anyone's on Oracle. If you are, that'd be a probably very expensive operation. It's a really difficult system to navigate, and if you're a small business trying to understand that, imagine being on Xero and trying to just understand Xero, let alone Oracle, which is 20 times, 100 times bigger. So when it comes to applications and building them into Xero, a lot of people start getting excited with Xero, and then they'll go, oh yeah, but I've heard about this app and this app and this app, and I'm in this industry, so I can focus on this app and do this and this and this, and it really becomes a bit of a distraction sometimes. So what I say to people is apps are really, really beneficial for your business, but make sure they're meeting at least these 3 criteria. So number 1 is communication. And communication means, is it enabling me to have a better channel of communication with my customers, my suppliers, my stakeholders like accountants and staff? Is it actually enabling me to have a more transparent communication, whether that's through reporting? You could be getting a reporting function that actually enables you to have more transparent reports or more visual reports so you can have better conversations. But just think about how it's actually improving communication, because at the end of the day, everything comes back to communication. I was speaking to someone in the room this morning who's in management consulting, and he was saying how he goes into most organizations and the key issue comes back to the process and communicating that process in most businesses that he goes into. So I think that one is the number one. The next thing is time. Is it going to create an efficiency for you? Is it going to save you time, or is it going to become a burden and overcomplicate or over-engineer the process? The third one, which is really important and getting a little bit technical, is there a two-way integration? It'd be like me just talking to Sam while he's reading a book. He's not going to try and talk. He's not going to talk back to me. He's not going to talk to me, and I'm going to be isolated over here. The problem with that is that all of a sudden you have two databases. Now we're getting a little bit technical, but we don't want two databases, because all of a sudden we're managing two sets of information, and it's really, really cumbersome, and it's taking up a lot of admin time just to manage those two databases. So always make sure there's a two-way integration between any software that you talk about, you look into. Okay, and I'm briefly going to touch on the transformation in the industry across accounting. This was one of our slides at the roadshow, but I feel like it's relevant for all industries, because there are quite a lot of industries that are still, I guess, in desktop technology, or even worse. I can say this, my uncle's an accountant and he's still in paper. So he works for some paranoid German companies, so he's still paper-based. But what we did explore is that there has been a transition from paper to desktop, and then from desktop to what we call digital. And digital is the ability to use mobile devices, laptops, phones, tablets, those kind of things to run your businesses. So with cloud technology, you can run your business anywhere, anytime. That means that as long as you have internet connection, you can run your business from any country in the world. And what we're actually finding is that the investment in desktop has either diminished or is disappearing. So if you're a desktop-based company and you look around your office, you go back to your office and you see about 15 desktops, that might be something just to consider when you're actually moving or progressing forward with your business, because it is one of the biggest impacts on most small businesses is the technology shift. And it seems to be that the ones that are keeping up with the shift in technology are also the ones that are the most innovative and forward-thinking businesses out there. The really exciting thing about this is that it's really nice to see that the ATO is in some ways keeping up with this trend, and that's really shone a light on SDP. That is why they're doing things like this. They're bringing the ATO compliance process into this digital age where things can be much more transparent, and we are facilitating that. So a lot of the cloud-based accounting platforms are facilitating that conversation. All right, so I'm just going to, and obviously we're here to help. Sam and I are here because we want to help. Our primary role is to work with the accountants, your accountants, and to have help them through their journey as well. But by all means, we are here today, so please ask us any questions that you have, and we'll do our best to help. Okay, so I'm just going to jump into live product. Okay, so I'm going to start with budgeting. Here who here feels confused, a bit stressed? Who here feels happy and excited and content and confident when it comes to technology and financial information? No? Okay. Didn't have to start with a negative, that's good. All right. So that really shines a light on the first thing I was talking about, which is how do we improve our communication with various stakeholders, particularly our advisors, if we are feeling a bit confused, a bit stressed, and not quite confident with not only technology but also our financial information. So what we do encourage is that people dive into our platform as much as possible and get involved. The beauty of Xero is that everything within Xero has an audit trail. So it's not like other systems where if you click a button and do a manual journal or something, it's disappeared forever and all of a sudden you're going to get in trouble by the ATO because you did a journal that wasn't correct or whatever it is. Everything has an audit trail. We do recommend working with your accountants when you're getting to know the system. They are the experts when it comes to Xero, but increasing that financial literacy is the first step. And it's not saying that you don't know how to run your business, it's just saying, can you get more involved with the business on a financial level? Because the businesses across 300 old accounting firms, used to look after 300, now I look after about 200. Across the 200 accounting firms that I look after, the most advanced small businesses out there, the ones that are growing the fastest, are the ones that have put the painstaking hours into really understanding the numbers, really understanding the technology, and working really closely with their advisors to progress forward from there. So I'm going to show you quickly just how to build out a budget as a start, as a foundation. I do think budgets are healthy to have. It's not something that you need to stress about and necessarily adhere to with the utmost strict guidelines, I might be corrected by that depending on how good you are at spending money. But I do recommend that everyone has at least some kind of budget within their platform. So this is Xero. This is the Business 100 file, which is our most premium solution. For instance, if you're on one of our cash books or our smaller solutions, you may not see things like payroll or projects. Just for reference, so that you're not too confused, projects is our project management tool. If you're working in a business where project management is fundamental to what you do, or job management is fundamental to what you do, and it's relatively low volume, then projects is a phenomenally powerful tool that directly integrates to our payroll solution. So projects is a great tool. There is a phone app for it as well, and it's a really powerful tool if you're out on the road all the time to capture time based on jobs that are in the system. If anyone wants me to show them that later, I can more than happily take you through that. Okay, so what we're going to do is navigate into accounting. Now, we recently changed the banners around. Hopefully everyone that's using Xero has now familiarised themselves and got comfortable with the new layout. I hope it means that you're not scared of clicking this accounting button. Just because it says accounting, it's not a black hole. I think that people often get hesitant when they go into this section of Xero, but I do implore you to start exploring it because there's really not much you can do. I don't think there's anything you can do at this level that can't be undone or can't be helped by your accountant. So one thing I'm going to show you initially is this budget manager. So it's the second line down in there, and I think, was I here last time? How have I got that far without internet? That's amazing. Oh no, I'm here, okay. There we go. Okay, so this is the budget manager. There's always one. So this is the budget manager. And it does look a bit overwhelming, but basically all you have on the left-hand side here is your chart of accounts. Now, your chart of accounts is just a makeup of your expenses. In this sense, it's your profit and loss, so it's your income and your expenses. We do only do budgeting for your profit and loss at this stage, and I do recommend starting with that as a foundation. Sure enough, within the next couple of months, you'll be yelling at us saying we want balance sheet budgeting, but this is a great start, and I'll explain how you can take reporting to the next level in the next section. So do start with this, and it's pretty interactive. What I would recommend if you're an Excel nerd like me is exporting it to Excel and playing around with it there. I also recommend setting up a meeting with one of these guys here to actually work through it with them. It doesn't take long to actually come up with a solid budget, but including it in your conversations with your accountant is really important. So including them in that conversation will go a long way to building out that communication with your accountant. So it's quite easy to navigate. All you need to do is simply enter in some information. So $500 we're going to put in there for salary and wages. And if we want to project that out for the next however many months, we can simply come in here and I'll just zoom in for you. We can apply a fixed amount each month. We can adjust by a certain amount each month, or we can adjust by a certain percentage each month. So basic metrics in here that you can adjust and change figures for. What I would suggest is for those people that are running a slightly more complex business, you can set up multiple budgets. So if you want to set up a high-low budget, so an ambitious budget and a bit of a flexible budget, you can certainly do that. You can set up as many as you like. If you're like me, I have about 6 budgets. I've probably over-engineered the process, but certainly get in there and get involved. So if I click apply, that now projects that across all the future months. So it's really simple to start with. You might want to have a go at it yourself and then come in and actually have a conversation with your accountant about that actual budget.
Could you make it weekly?
Yeah. Sorry?
Weekly as well.
So at this stage, these budgeted reports are monthly. If you want weekly reports, we do have applications that integrate to Xero. So where people will need deeper levels of reporting, we do recommend that. There are also other functions that serve more as like a dashboard. Things like Microsoft BI and those kind of things will serve as a dashboard for those people that want to drill down into data further. But there's 4 or 5 different levels that I'll take you through in a moment when it comes to reporting. So the budget manager isn't really difficult to navigate. All I'm going to show you now is how to pull those budgets through in a report. So profit and loss, we'll go into this new report here. And in this profit and loss, I'm just going to put this to this quarter update. In this profit and loss here, I'll go back to last quarter. Haven't done my demo bank recs for a while. It's only got January to March, and that's based on a quarter. What we might do is we'll do last month, and I'll actually take this back to January. There we go. And what you do down in the bottom left corner is click on Edit Layout. So this is basically peeling back one more layer of the reporting. I'm not going to go into too much detail about editing reports and those kind of things, but a lot of people don't click that Edit Layout button and they don't actually see how much further you can take reporting in Xero. So this is essentially the editor within reporting within Xero. Within here, I can actually just delete everything completely. So it's blank. I can start again with just a date range. I can say month. I'm going to take this back to December last year. I can then go, okay, well, I want to add in a budget. So I've just gone into this columns up the top corner there, or in the middle, added in a budget. I'm going to add in a budget based on the overall budget that I've selected, and I'm going to make the date range the same as my actual. So then I've got budget. So a few people, that's just gone over my head. Basically, this is your actual information and this is your budgeted information based on adding a column in here and shifting a few of the figures on the left-hand side here, on the right-hand side here. The only other thing I'm going to do here is add in a formula, and this formula is going to be actual divided by budget and show percentage. So this will be our variance. So all of a sudden I've just gone and built a report that is actual budget variance for December. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
That was very quick. Is there like videos on?
Absolutely. I'll show you those. Yeah, absolutely. But all I'm trying to demonstrate is that the reporting function is pretty easy to interact with. It's easier than Excel, and it's not something that you can break. It's just building out a report. But if you want to get a little bit more complex with your reporting and start to understand things, if you're sitting there going, this is well over my head, it's probably a good sign to sit down with one of the guys at the back of the room that are your accountants and actually have a conversation about understanding reports a little bit better, or understanding your chart of accounts and those kind of things. So then we click done, and we can actually export that report. If we still like something tangible, you can absolutely export it and print that report off. So that's a bit about budgeting and reporting. I'll make sure I touch on the education piece. I just wanted to, here's the education piece here. So Xero U is an area that you can navigate to and there's a section here for small businesses. So a lot of people don't actually realize that there are a lot of videos here available for small businesses. And one of them would be on reporting. There's one here that's enabling STP. So everything that Sam's been through today with STP, you can actually click on this video and it'll step you through a video step by step. So if you're one of the fortunate few people that have 2 screens at work, then you can have it open on one screen and be processing it on the other. But there's everything in here from payroll to demystifying finance, projects. There's a lot of information in these videos here. So make sure you're navigating through these Xero U education resources. So all you need to do is type into Google Xero U and you'll be able to find those videos there. Just one thing quickly that I wanted to touch on when it comes to Xero Central. A lot of people don't know about Xero Central. If you're not sure about anything in Xero and how it functions, Xero Central is your first point of contact. It has all of the help guides and all the videos, all the help guides that you can poke a stick at. But also, if you ever log a case and ask for support when it comes to Xero, a lot of people aren't aware that you can actually log in to Xero Central. And once you log into Xero Central, you can monitor your cases. So one of the things that's always been a bit of an identifier for Xero is that we don't have a readily available phone support. That's not saying that our support won't call you up if you have a major issue. It's just saying there isn't a number to call if you have an issue. We do most of it through an online solution or online system, which through all our research is actually the most efficient way of doing things. But if you log a case through Xero support, you can now actually go into My Cases, which is going into the top right corner there and clicking on My Cases. And you'll be able to see every single case that you've logged with our support team, whether it's been picked up, whether it's been worked on, whether it's been completed, all of those kind of things will be in there for you. Okay. So the other little thing I wanted to touch on is this small business guides. If you just type into Google again, Xero small business guides, this part will actually come up. We've put together a few guides on things like what is a bank rent, what is inventory, what is cash versus accrual, what is depreciation and why should I care. But also if you go down to the bottom, all of these are little articles that will guide you through running your business on Xero. There are some incredible checklists. So if anyone's a bit OCD like me and you love checklists, there's about 15 checklists there that will get you going, that's for sure. So, all right, so that's a bit on the education piece. I'm just going to quickly dive into the apps that Xero is working closely with. So this is Xero's app marketplace. There are 700 apps available in this marketplace. So if you're on your current system and you think that Xero can't do what you need it to do, chances are it's a bit of apprehension and a bit of fear talking, because Xero most certainly will be able to help if you're a small business. There are some industry specific solutions that would be better, particularly if you're in things like car sales or those kind of things. There are some specific industry boutique software that work really, really well for those industries. But certainly don't write off Xero as a solution if you haven't considered how many apps we actually integrate with. And if you're sitting here and you use Xero, please consider investigating these apps. You don't have to be the expert. Your accountants certainly aren't the experts in 700 apps, and neither am I. So we do have some people that will work with you, and I'll touch on that in a moment. But the first point of contact is the app marketplace. So navigate to the app marketplace. All you need to do is type into Google again, or one of the other search engines, is Xero Marketplace. And once you get to this page, you can scroll down here and you can search by business type. So if you're one of these business types here, you'll be able to start filtering by apps that are relevant for your business. Now, for an app to actually get onto this marketplace, it has to be a quality assured app. We take it through rigorous testing. We take it through, we make sure that if it ever gets a number of bad reviews, we actually take it down from our marketplace. So you can be rest assured that if it's on this application or this marketplace, it is one of the best in market. Because there are actually over 10,000 applications that will integrate with Xero. These are the top 700. Okay, so filtering by these, all I'm going to touch on by app function is the reporting function, primarily because we've talked a bit about reporting today. There are a couple of systems within here that will be phenomenal for reporting. Does anyone do detailed cash flow reporting or direct cash flow? If you do, Float is an amazing system for direct cash flow, and Spotlight is a great one for visual reporting. So if you're trying to get a little bit more visual and a bit more interactive with your reporting, these are the systems that you can start to investigate. Again, Microsoft BI, there are some fantastic tools in here. If you're a real lover of Excel, it's something that I say often in accounting seminars, and everyone's like, yes, I love Excel, but not often in small business seminars. So if you're a lover of Excel, like the majority of accountants, DataDeer is one to look into as well. It actually will automatically connect between Xero and Excel. But there are some phenomenal tools in here, so please, who runs a point of sale solution? Point of sales? So no one's in retail. What's the predominant business? Is it professional services? Who's in professional services? So about half the room, professional services. So based on professional services, you're probably going to get more involved with understanding your cash flow, capturing documents or capturing information. So what I'll just touch on very quickly is HubDoc. We purchased them for $94 million last year. So they weren't that cheap. They're now part of the Xero platform, and we work really closely with them to capture documents for you and to then process that into Xero. So if you're not really loving the admin behind capturing and processing documents, this is just a quick snapshot into how it functions. Essentially, imagine anything that you have an online portal for, whether it's Energy Australia, your bank account, Netflix, anything that you have an online account for, you'll be able to actually create a connection. And then the second that a statement is live, this system will capture the statement, it'll pull it in, and it will code it through to Xero. So it's saving you hours of time of manually getting the document, then reconciling it through to Xero. This system will do that. So talk to your accountant about setting up HubDoc if you're interested in something like that. But that's just one example of how a system can save time. It also has an application where you can take photos of receipts, and it will automatically code receipts as well. Okay, so like I said, you don't have to be the expert of the marketplace and all of these apps. There are cloud integrators that specialize in doing this work. So a lot of people that are going through this change from desktop to digital, they think that they've got to do it on their own, and they don't understand how many stakeholders actually have a vested interest in them doing that process. So your accountants certainly have an interest in you moving towards the digital world, and well, these accountants do because they're phenomenally switched on. But a lot of your clients are actually going to benefit from this journey as well. So think about the investment, and if it's something that you'd love to get in contact with someone about, these are some people to talk to. So again, I love saying Google, but just Google Cloud Integrated Directory or Xero Cloud Integrated Directory, and you can call them up, run through a scoping session, and they'll actually be the experts in your area. So depending on which ones you're looking for instance, Waypoint, they specialised in professional services, manufacturing and wholesale, or S&B consultants, which are local, do retail and hospitality. So certainly get in contact with those and they'll be able to help you out. The final thing I'll leave you with, write down this URL. If you ever have any issues with Xero, if you're currently using Xero, if you ever have any issues with Xero and you're not sure what's happening or why it's running a bit slow, or if the system's not working properly, just search this URL and it will automatically run through a checklist for you. and it will check your security, your browser, your internet connection, and whether Xero system is operational. So that's a really great one to see if any issues are going on. If you've missed it, I'll show you in a second. And the final piece, if you ever forget your two-step authentication or your phone and you can't log into Xero, this is the best place to go. So go to the Xero status page. This will also inform you if there's any outages with Xero, but then you can, if you can't log into Xero, let us know there and we'll get onto it straight away and help you get back up and running. Okay, so that was a bit of information overload and I have gone over time. Sammy's flashing his red book at me. But I do thank you for listening in. If you have any questions about Xero, we are going to hang around for a little while now. And certainly STP we can help you out with. I think the main thing when it comes to STP is to realise that it is happening, but it's not necessarily going to be a massive burden, admin burden or change burden, and to certainly talk to your accountants about that transition, and also getting more involved with the finances is really going to help you out. And finally, make sure you check out this beautiful article.
We've got copies of the magazine as well if anyone wants to take
But
it.
you've obviously made a good choice, so thank you very much for having us.
So we'd like to thank everyone for coming. Thank you Shamir Gupta, our Senior Client Manager, for his presentation on Single Touch Payroll. Thank you very much for Sam and Tim from Xero who came and presented on the, Mastering the Power of Xero. If we can just get it, we've got feedback forms. If you just take like a minute or so to complete that, that'll be great. And just to let everyone know, our next seminar is on the 6th of June, and that's going to be presented by our Managing Director, Mark Williams, on end of financial year strategies and tax changes. So that's going to be a great seminar. So invites will go out this week, so look out for those. Thank you.
Did you find me? How was it? Was it useful? Yeah. Okay, great. I'll see you on 6th of June.
You'll come to that? Okay, I'll send it to Pam. Thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
Oh, pleasure. Yeah.
So if I wanted some industry